Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another round of the Weekend League 2 here at Gavra Racing around what is a very wet and challenging conditions of Portimao at the Algarve International Circuit. I'm Jack TM53, your commentator as usual, returning for tonight's race around this wonderful Portuguese circuit. And we've got a lot to get through before we talk about the drivers on circuit. Before we do that, I want to just mention the driver standings after a very frantic and frenetic pair of races that we had 2 weeks ago now at Miami. Psycho SM currently leads the championship on 69 points in the Aston Martin after 2 great races around America. There's Italy Toy TA in second on 52, Money Game 44. The debutant for this season is third on 44 points, with Il Cecco fourth on 36. Aston Martin have 2 drivers in the top 4 there. The Steps VRBS in fifth on 32, Jawsey 2003 on 30 points in 6th, Spannel 7th on 28, bit of a gap back to Fake Knutson on 13 in the Haas and 8th, Roby HT 9th in the Mercedes, and Tutty Boy 93 is 10th on 8 points. And if we have a brief look at the Constructors' Championship, as I said before, Aston Martin running away with it on 107 points after the opening 2 rounds. Alpine a second on 54 with Williams on 46 points. Haas on 43 points in 4th, and Alfa Romeo tied with McLaren for joint 5th on 36 points. So Aston Martin have got themselves 2 bullets, very competent bullets in the chamber, gunning for this championship. But drivers are now out, of course, on circuit. You can see that, of course, provided by Gavra Racing here on Twitch and on YouTube. But at the moment, looking at the track map, we've got a lot of drivers selecting the wet tyre compound. Only Fake Knutson is on the intermediates. However, I must stress he hasn't ventured out of the garage yet. So, challenging conditions. The Pirelli wet weather tyre, of course, needed for these difficult circumstances that this track provides. A lot of camber, a lot of off-throttle areas where you have to be very patient. I guarantee it's going to catch out a number of drivers as Money Game sets the initial pace on a 1 minute 30.488 in the Williams. So good lap for him to start off with. Looks like Roby HT is also on a very good lap. He set a purple second sector. This was after Money Game had set a lap, and that's a McLaren off the track. That's the Steps, who has lost it on the exit of the final corner. So there'll be a yellow flag on that section of the track, but Roby HT's round in the final corner. His lap time is going to be a 1:31.1, so fell away a little bit in the final couple of corners compared to Money Game. Frank Martin is up to third in the Red Bull. Joss Singer there in 4th place, didn't have the best time last time out at Miami. Retired, unfortunately, as Devori goes 6th, and Italy Toy TA, one of the championship protagonists, puts himself provisionally pole on a 1:29.9, so the first driver in the 29s so far. Very early days in this session, of course. The Steps just had another little wobble, come out off the track and onto the gravel track there on the exit of what looks like turn 4. Not ideal for the Steps so far. Seeing who else is coming across the line to set a lap. Looks like Sick Boy in the Williams. He does a 1 minute 43, but his lap time is invalidated, so it doesn't go on the board. These are very difficult conditions. The full wet tyre on the Pirelli. Can be quite difficult. Hope everybody can hear me. I can see there's a few things going on in the chat area. But it is Italy Toy TA at the moment, provisionally pole. And he is on another lap here. He's rounding turn 14 at Sagres. See what this lap time is going to be from the Alpine driver. Comes towards the line. And that's another improvement from the Alpine of Italy Toy TA. He's extended that gap to just about 0.7 of a second over the rest of the field. Italy Toy in the groove tonight, and the other thing to mention at the moment is that Psycho is not in the lobby currently, which would give a huge door of opportunity to open for the Williams of Italy Toy, but Il Checho has put himself into second place, so he's got between himself and Money Game and Italy Toy as Il Checho. Mellow Bello in fourth place, so he's moved up a few places. Tutty Boy gets his first lap on the board. It's a 1:30.9, just in front of his fellow boy, I was going to say boyfriend, but that would be very incorrect. But between the two of them, Tutty and Sick, they are fifth and sixth, so third row of the grid at the moment. Ah, okay, that is an important bit of information that Gavra has given me. So Psycho is up into Tier 1 and Fetz has moved into Tier 2. That's interesting to note. So Italy Toy TA then will be the de facto leader of the championship. Now, I'm just watching at the moment, there's a couple of drivers who are out on track, but I'm seeing that the one or two drivers, Fake Knutson is now out on circuit, and the Steps in the McLaren is venturing out on the intermediate tyres. So it seems that the rain isn't as heavy, or they feel that the rain isn't as heavy, and they're going to try and give it maybe an opportunity for them to get a couple of laps in, build up the tyre temperature, although having said that, Fake Knutson has skated off into the gravel trap at turn 8. But could there be a chance for the weather to dry out? I mean, it looks as if the weather is very unrelenting. There are a couple of darker patches on the circuit at the moment. That's Roby HT moving up into 7th position, and Jossing it was who I just noted moved up there to 8th as well. So the two Red Bulls right next to one another. So just a couple of cars just being wheeled back into the pit lane there. Tutty Boy is up to 4th position in the Alfa Romeo. His debut season here at Gavra. He's doing okay in the championship as well as Tutty Boy. He's had a couple of decent results last week, or rather last time out at Miami. He finished in 6th place in the feature race, which is a really positive character building result for him. And sat in 10th place in the championship standing, so encouraging for him to continue on, maybe move forward through the field. Just watching the steps at the moment. He's rounding the final corner now, and he is going to go onto the lap in the McLaren. He's on the intermediate tyres, and I've just noticed that Italy Toy TA has also selected, well, he did briefly select the intermediates, but he's gone back to the wet tyres as Italy Toy. So hopefully the race director can follow the McLaren, who's in 14th place. Steps just gingerly going through turns 3 and 4. He's very hesitant on the throttle, naturally so in these conditions. He is the guinea pig for everybody to watch at the moment. He is up on his first sector time. His 1:45 that he did earlier in the session, definitely unrepresentative of what he's capable of. Sweeps around turns 7 and 8 as he approaches Samsung again. He's very hesitant, not going too close to the full throttle. Yellow flags flying all over the circuit. One of the Williams has actually spun off. They got going again. But the steps, just taking that wider line, just taking the path of least resistance. Doesn't want to open the steering angle too much. He's half a second up at the moment as the steps. On the brakes, down into second gear for turn 13. Builds the revs up a little bit more. Round Sagres he goes. There's a bit more confidence in these last few corners from the steps. He's getting on the throttle a lot more early than he was before. Big lift through turn 15. I don't blame him. And his lap time as he comes towards the checkered flag. So 1:29.9. So we are in the crossover point for the intermediate and the wet weather tyres. It seems at this current moment with 7 minutes to go, I've noticed that Devori has also selected the intermediate tyres and Fake Knutson's gone back out there. But that'll be encouraging for the steps. Il Checho's just going onto a lap now on the full wet weather tyre. There's a lot of potential intrigue. In this qualifying session, because there's a number of drivers now who are switching over to the intermediate tyres, but it looks like they might need a lap or two. I've got to say, one thing I'm noticing on the camera angles here, there's a lot of rain down the main pit straight, but where the steps is at the moment, and he's at turn 11, there is a lot. The rain is a lot lighter there, so it seems that the rain cloud is moving eastwards towards the start-finish straight, and the steps has just on a purple middle sector. So this is another improvement from the McLaren, and you'd expect at this race he would jump up to provisional pole. Much more confident on the throttle through here. Little bit of a lift again through the final corner, but that was much more committed than last lap. Oh, we had a huge wiggle through the final corner, and he backs out of it. And he's ran out of ERS as well, so the steps might need to go back into the pit lane, get another set of intermediates on. Money Game on his outlap in the intermediates, Tutty Boy in the pits. Sick Boy and Frank Martin both out on the intermediate compound tyres, as is Devori. Fake Nutzen is on a lap. He's caught a Mercedes at a really bad time. Scatcher actually is in front of him. Scatcher really needs to get out of the way. I don't think he's realised that Fake Nutzen behind him is on a lap, and Fake Nutsen's going to be really frustrated. That Mercedes needs to get out of the way. Oh, that's ruined the Haas lap there. Fake Nutsen's not going to be pleased with that at all. He's got so much more grip. He's going around the outside of Scatcher at the final corner. And Fake Nutzen moves up to 6th place, but that would have potentially been a provisional pole lap from Fake Nutzen, which would have been his first. I'm not really sure what Scatcher was doing. I don't think he knew that Fake Nutzen was there with him. There's a couple more yellow flags coming out, but I think that's just drivers slowing down. But the top two have gone into the pits. Italy Toy's been wheeled back in. He's going to go onto the intermediate compound as well. 4 minutes 20 seconds to go. This is all going to be about being in the right place at the right time. On these intermediate compound tyres, the driest part of the track will no doubt come at the end of the session, providing it doesn't rain any further. Cable Monkey's just had a big wiggle through turn 4, but he's on the wet tyre, so it seems as though now the intermediates are the quicker tyre. Cable Monkey needs to get those wets off and onto a set of intermediates. Less than 4 minutes to go in this session. Money Game is coming around the final 2 corners. Up through the gears. He's got a lot of commitment as the steps. Anil Checho still second and third. Little bit of hesitation from Money Game, but this is looking like an improvement on the lap that he's done. He goes provisionally pole. Oh, 1:29.4. He's matched the time of Italy Toy TA, who's gone back out on a set of wet tyres. So Italy Toy clearly feels the track isn't ready for intermediates. I don't know if Italy Toy has enough time. He might just have enough time to get around the track and get a set of intermediates on, or he'll decide that he can go quicker. Fake Nutzen is in 3rd place. Il Checho is in 4th. Fake Nutzen, the problem for him is, and he's so close to his first ever pole position, he doesn't have any ERS left. Il Checho is being wheeled back into the pits. Steps has now come out onto a set of intermediate tyres. Devori is currently on a lap. This order is going to change, ladies and gentlemen, very, very quickly. Those drivers that are not on the intermediate tyres are the ones who are going to be losing out here. Tutty Boy is up on his lap. He's 4/10 up. Quite a lot more committed through the final corner. Where is this going to put the Alfa Romeo? He's gone to 3rd on a 1:29.5. Alfa Romeo goes up to 3rd place. Scanning through the drivers. Italy Toy TA is carrying on the wet tyre, so he thinks otherwise. He's going for it. Il Checho, the steps still on their outlap, of course. Devori's gone back into the pits, but he won't get enough time to set a lap. So that is the session over for Devori. Frank Martin in 8th place at the moment. Don't think this is going to be an improvement on this lap. Looks like he's just saving his ERS to go on one final push lap. Sick Boy has started his Roby HT. He's not going any quicker. I think he's trying to save as much ERS as he can, but some drivers certainly feeling the need for safety as opposed to going for a bit of a risk on the intermediates. There's definitely a drier part of the tarmac. It's still, of course, wet, but drier than what it was at the start of this session. Money Game isn't improving on this lap, and I think he's backing out of it a little bit here. Yeah, it looks like he is doing, so the Williams just backing out of it. He's got time to save ERS as well. That's one of the Mercedes round at turn 1. It's not surround actually, it's Scatcher who's come out on an outlap, but he's got not enough time to get around the circuit. Can anybody find more time? Is Italy Toy TA going to stay where he is? Although having said that, he's quicker. On the final corner, he was absolutely on the limit. And Italy Toy TA, despite the odds against him, has got pole position back. Here comes Money Game. Can he respond? He can't. He's got one lap to go, though. He was saving his ERS. Tutty Boy is on a lap. He's improving in the first sector. Fake Nutson has seen a checkered flag. Il Checho is 3/10 up as it stands in the first sector. Everybody is improving at the moment, but will it be enough to get that pole position? What about the steps? Does he improve? He doesn't. He stays 6th in the end. Roby HT is on a lap. Luffy, he's the next car to come towards the line. He does a 1:31, it moves into 13th place. JMB Surreal has retired. Hasn't crashed out, he's just given up on that lap. Roby is coming around this final corner. Il Checho is half a second up. If he keeps this up, the Aston Martin will be on pole position. Roby HT crosses the line, he moves into 9th place. Il Checho will be the next driver to set a lap time. Tutty Boy is also improving as well, so these two could be on the front row. And here comes the Aston Martin of Il Checho. Can he pull off a lap time that he needs to get pole? And he does. It's a 1:28.9. Can Tutty Boy respond? He comes over the checkered flag. He's not going to improve his lap time. He's backed out of it. Il Checho on pole on a 28.9. Italy Toy TA is still out there on a lap, but he's not going to improve. It all comes down to whether Money Game can do anything on this final corner, but he won't. He's far, far away in terms of lap time. And Il Checho takes pole position on the intermediate tyre in the Aston Martin. It was a good call in the end. It's paid off for him. And credit where credit's due to Il Checho. He made that gamble. An intermediate tyre has put him on pole position. Fair play to Italy Toy TA, the Italian driver, both of course the first 1-2 Italian drivers. In the Alpine, Italy Toy TA though, 2nd place on the wet tyre, the only driver outside of Roby HT on the wet in the top 10, so that's really impressive. Money Game is 3rd, with Tutty Boy right behind him 4th, that's his best qualifying of the season for the Alfa Romeo. Frank Martin 5th, he'll be happy with that, a good qualifying performance for Fake Nuts in his 6th, but could have been maybe even quicker had it not been for that back marker. The steps in 7th, Devori 8th, Roby HT 9th and 6th Boy rounds out the top 10. Mellow Bello, Jossing, Luffy, Scatcher, JMB Surreal and Cable Monkey 2-0 round out the rest of the runners. So, drivers have themselves a little bit of time to prepare themselves for the race. 50% of course of those that are joining, so 33 laps potentially around this Portimao circuit. And the question is, who will get the best start as we approach the first lap of turn 1? It's a dry race, there are clouds ahead, as you can see on the screen in front of everyone. But the race is due to start in the next 25 seconds. This is building up to potentially being quite a fascinating race around Portimao. It is a circuit that can cause a safety car from time to time, but there are quite a lot of large runoff areas, so it'll have to take something pretty big in certain areas, potentially turn 4, where there could be one. It's not unheard of. The drivers won't be thinking about that, though. They'll be thinking about this race start. There's 5 red lights are coming on the screen right now. Who will get the best start? And the race is live here from Portugal. Looks like a really good start from Italy Toitier, and he sprints into the lead ahead of Il Cecco. Money Game is in third. Frank Martin is side by side with Fake Nutzen going into turn 1, and Fake Nutzen gets himself into 4th place. Martin is there in 5th. The Steps is 6th. He's up the inside of the Red Bull, and Frank Martin, unless he gets a good exit out of turn 4, is going to lose this position. They're side by side. Bit of wheel banging as they go through the corner. Steps currently has 5th place. Tutty Boy trying to go past the pair of them. He's gone around the outside of Frank Martin into 6th place. Frank's not had the best of start. There's a yellow flag. A couple of drivers who made a bit of contact. Looks like Luffy and Scatcher had a bit of an incident going on, unfortunately for them, but it's a good start for Italy Toitier. He needed to get a good start. That's exactly what's gone on. He's looked very quick so far in Lobby 1 today, especially with that wet lap time that he did earlier on a arguably slower compound of tyre, and he's 7/10 to the good on Il Cecco in second. There's Money Game there in 3rd place. Fake Nutzen in 4th, up 2 places is Fake Nutzen. It's a really good start for him. You got the Steps also up 2 places. The McLaren Tutty Boy and Frank Martin both losing out at the start. Oh, that's the Steps round. He's lost it on the exit of turn 14. He's going to drop right to the back. He's up the embankment. Oh dear, it's unfortunate for McLaren driver. Here comes Money Game for 2nd place on Il Cecco. Side by side. Il Cecco goes very, very deep and keeps the position. That one might be investigated a little bit later. But they carry on. Oh, that's Fake Nutzen who's gone round. I was praising him before. He's sideways across the grass at turn 3. He's rejoined behind Scatcher. Oh, he's all over the place. He's just got to get those tyre temperatures down. He's going to get overtaken by J&B Surreal as well. Not ideal. Italy Toitier has said, see you later. He's off. He's 1.1 clear of the Aston Martin. Money Game is third. You feel at the moment that Money Game has a lot of speed and he's opening 2 laps present. Tutty Boy in 4th place, and now this is a part of the strategy here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we got the Steps has gone round again. He's not having a good opening couple of laps here. Just a correction to earlier, I said 33 laps. It's 25% race, of course. But 17 laps for the drivers to navigate, and that's Fake Nutzen, and Fake Nutzen has retired. It hasn't gone well. Oh, and the Steps has gone round in exactly the same place as Fake Nutzen has done. DRS though is now enabled. Il Cecco's got the gap back under a second. Seems that Il Cecco seems to be a little bit stronger in the second half of the lap as opposed to Italy Toitier. But Il Cecco does have DRS. It will make a little bit of difference down this small straight. And Il Cecco will just take about a 10th or so off the gap to the car in front of him. I was saying about strategy, Tutty Boy, the only driver outside of Milo Bello and J&B Surreal to start on the medium compound tyre, so you'll have the softer compound later on in the race, the red-walled soft tyres of course. And Tutty Boy has had a really good start, up 2 places, but he's going to be under pressure from Frank Martin in front of him. The Red Bull looking very quick. Ooh, potentially having a little sighter through Portimao corner, but he's not going to be quite close enough to get past him there. Devori is also right there with the 2 cars in front of him. A little bit of a train forming behind Tutty Boy because of his being on the slower compound of tyre. Milo Bello just hanging on to this group as well. It's important for the AlphaTauri to hang on to the back of this lot. He will be on the faster tyre later on, providing the pit strategy works out correctly for them. Here comes Frank Martin though with DRS on Tutty Boy into turn 1. That's easy enough. Pretty regulation move, and Cable Monkey goes past Sick Boy as well for 8th place at turn 1. Oh, but fair play to Sick Boy. He got right along the inside. They're going to be side by side through turn 4. Oh, bit of a wobble for Sick Boy going through turn 4, and that's Milo Bello past and into ninth. Frank Martin and Devori, they're side by side into the hairpin. Bit of contact between the two almost. Frank Martin gets the drive back past Devori and goes into 5th place. That meant Tutty Boy got past the pair of them. I didn't catch that, unfortunately. I hope that Gavra did. I was watching another fight further down as Cable Monkey got up to 8th place. Cable Monkey does have a penalty though. Cable Monkey's had an incredible start so far. He started in 8th place and he's up to 8th. Sorry, he started 16th place. He's up 8 places into 8th position. So amazing for him. Really putting some good moves in, and he's on the back of the Mercedes. Tutty Boy is struggling though, it has to be said. Really struggling on these medium tyres in the opening laps. And you feel that Frank Martin is going to be close enough to have another attempt at the Alpha. With DRS opening, it's going to be more than close enough. And that's Devori into the pits. And that's Frank Martin past the Alfa Romeo. Cable Monkey not quite close enough to follow through there. Jossin going past Sick Boy for 9th position. This is an early stop from Devori. Has he got any damage? No, he hasn't. So he's just going into the pits, onto the medium tyres. The Haas carries on. Il Cecco's closed that gap, by the way, at the front to USD Toyota. He's just got it under a second to about 7 tenths. Aston Martin putting the pressure back on the Alpine in front of him. Tutty Boy still holding on 4th, but he doesn't look comfortable. Looks like the weather today in this race looks a little bit more colder than qualifying. Oh, there's a yellow flag somewhere, but Frank Martin goes past Tutty Boy for 4th place. Tutty Boy didn't have the best of exits out of turn 8 and through he went. And Roby HT now will be looking. Oh, that's Milo Bell. Oh, Cable Monkey's gone round. He had such a good start. And the Alpine drops down a position. Hasn't lost as many places as I thought he would have done, to be fair, but he has dropped off the back of that group, so he's going to have to re-engage, and that's Roby HT who decides to go into the pit lane. So are the soft tyres starting to struggle for everyone in front? Tutty Boy gets back past Frank Martin for 4th, although I think Frank just hit the back of the Alfa Romeo. Looking to see if he has any damage. I can't see any from what the camera angles are giving me, so I think he's got away with that. But not ideal for Frank. He's in a real scrap at the moment with Tutty Boy, who, despite his struggles, is hanging on. He's still in that 4th position. And will he be able to use the medium tyres now to start putting in some consistent lap times? Just scanning through the field just to check and see where everybody is. Il Cecco and USD Toy TA just seem to have the same gap every now and then. They fluctuate between a second, half a second when DRS activates. It's very, very close between the two. They are evenly matched at the moment. And you feel it's going to come down to strategy as to whether Il Cecco can get past the Alpine in front of him. Will USD Toy pit on this lap? He decides against it, and Il Cecco carries on as well. Money Game a little bit further back. I think he had a little mistake earlier that dropped him away from the front two. He's got a 3-second time penalty for track limit, so he's got to contend with that too. Tutty Boy won't be under pressure from Frank Martin into turn 1. He's not going to be close enough as the Red Bull. Jossing in 10th place. As it stands, he's just squeezed on past Scatcher. He loses that aforementioned 10th place, and Luffy is into the pits on the soft tyres. So a couple of drivers pitting very early to go onto the medium strategy. I'm looking at, of course, Devori and Roby HT. Those two are 35 and 36 seconds respectively behind the race leader. If they come out, well, they've been doing 2 laps now on these medium tyres. If the drivers ahead were to pit, and you lose roughly around 20-21 seconds at Portimao, they would be behind Milo Bello. So wait and see whether the undercut, and this is an extreme undercut from the 2 drivers in 12th and 13th, whether this pays off for them. It could still work, of course. But at the moment, they've got a lot of work to do to catch up. And that's Italy Toy and Il Cecco both into the pits. Money Game piles in as well, so the top three all getting rid of this soft compound tyre and going on to the mediums, which will put Tutti Boy into the lead in the Alfa Romeo. Italy Toy gets out ahead of Il Cecco. Oh, Il Cecco's been held in the pit lane. Rather, he hasn't. There's been a visual glitch once again from F122, so that wasn't ideal. But Il Cecco does come out behind Italy Toy TA, who comes out side by side with Scatcher. That wasn't ideal. That will have given a little scare to Italy Toy TA. Wouldn't want to be that close to a Mercedes that has got their tyres up to temperature, and he will be under pressure from the Mercedes as he comes towards turn 5. He's got DRS as the Mercedes, but Scatcher decides better of it. He knows he's not in that fight with the Alpine and stays behind him. So Il Cecco's come out in 7th, Money Game's there in 8th, Frank Martin's there in 9th place. Devori is right behind the Red Bull. So those that stayed out, it has worked for them. Scatcher's still out on the soft compound tyres, as is Sick Boy. Those two haven't pitted yet. They're the only two drivers who started on the soft who are yet to pit. But Tutti Boy leads the way. Does have a time penalty, it's 3 seconds for track limits, but he won't mind that for the time being. He's got a comfortable gap to Milo Bello. He can just concentrate on doing some consistent race pace runs now. Sick Boy piles himself into the pit, so that'll promote JMB Surreal into 3rd place. As Scatcher also goes into the pit, so all the drivers who started on the softs out onto the alternative compound of tyre, either the medium or the hard, although the driver is on the hard tyre at the moment, is the Steps. Italy Toy TA now closing that gap rapidly down to JMB Surreal. He's got to try and get on with this move to get past the Alpha Tauri. He doesn't want to get held up by him too much. Oh, Roby HT has had a spin. He was fighting onto the back of Devori. He gets overtaken by Sick Boy, who's just pitted, and Cable Monkey as well. So unfortunately for Cable Monkey, rather, Roby HT, he has dropped a couple of places there. A couple of questions saying, will it rain? It's a good question, to be honest. I don't have the access that the drivers do in terms of the data. There are clouds overhead. They aren't particularly threatening at the moment, and Italy Toy TA has got past JMB Surreal for 3rd position. That was a good move before they got to turn 13. JMB Surreal obviously in a different fight. JMB Surreal trying to come out in the fight for what would be the top 10. He doesn't want to lose too much time, and he'll get DRS as well, so this will benefit the AlphaTauri. Give him a couple of attempts just to close up to the back of Italy Toy TA. Still, the leaders at the front, Tutti Boy and Milo Bello, separated by 2.5 seconds, still yet to pit. But they will be expected to come in for the soft compound of tyre in the next lap or two at most. Italy Toy in 3rd place. He's got a car between himself now and Il Cecco. Il Cecco will have to work quite hard to get past JMB Surreal if he doesn't pit on this lap. There's Money Game, Frank Martin in 7th, Devori is 8th, Cable Monkey just about in front of Sick Boy. There's going to be a fight going towards turn 5. The Williams tries to go around the outside of the Alpine, but he's all over the Astro and the curb. He can't quite get the throttle down in time. Cable Monkey had the momentum to out-drag the Williams and stays in 9th place. Tutti Boy carries on for another lap. What about Milo Bello? Does exactly the same thing. Seems that the drivers, the soft tyres, they last about 7 laps for the tyre wear in a 25% race. Il Cecco just gets past JMB Surreal for 4th. Very standard move with the DRS open on the approach to turn 1, so Il Cecco doesn't have to think too much about him anymore. He can concentrate on the car ahead of him. Italy Toy TA is only 1.8 seconds ahead of the Aston Martin. Don't forget, this is a fight for the net lead of the race. USD Toy TA currently on for the bonus point as well, a 1:19.7 thanks to the fastest lap of the race that he's set. But you never know, the drivers who are going to go onto the soft compound tyre, they are likely to go quicker than that, but strange things have happened in Gavra racing. JMB Surreal, of course, the other driver that hasn't yet pitted. Loads of time penalties coming through now. There's only 5 drivers who are yet to pick up a time penalty. That could make a big difference come the end of the race, as there are some close fights on circuit. That's Tutty Boy going into the pits now, and Milo Bello, so they're getting onto the soft compound of tyre, and that allows USD Toy TA to retake the lead of this race. It'll move Il Checho up as well, and JMB Surreal carries on for another lap. Where will Tutty Boy and Milo Bello come out in relation to Frank Martin? This is going to be very close. Tutty Boy is going to come out. Oh, this is going to be tight between the two, but Frank Martin sweeps around the outside. He takes that 6th place. Devori is ahead of Milo Bello as well. But Tutty Boy, it'll take him a couple of corners to get the tyres warmed up. But you feel that the Alfa Romeo will now have more speed than the Red Bull in front of it, and will be able to start using that tyre advantage to close the gap on the Red Bull. Just checking around to see the gaps on circuit. There's a couple of train of cars currently headed by Milo Bello, who's only just come out, of course, on those soft tyres. He's out in front of Cable Monkey, so that extra lap has really worked out for the AlphaTauri. He doesn't have a penalty as well, so he could yet get 7th place, because Devori in front of him does. Tutty Boy's got the soft tyres up to temperature now, though. He is closing that gap on the Red Bull in front of him. Oh, and Frank went very, very wide. And JMB Surreal now does finally pit. Interesting to see where he feeds out. ERS being used by Tutty Boy and the Alfa Romeo. DRS wide open. Frank Martin's going to have one chance to defend this, but he doesn't. And Tutty Boy goes through for 4th place. Gets the car stopped in time for turn 1. That is so far a really good showing from Tutty Boy, although Frank again, that looked like a little nudge. I could be wrong. Only caught the end of that. But Frank will have to just recalibrate, get himself going again and try and not lose any more time, because Devori is not that far away in the Haas. And Milo Bello is also closing the gap. He's got his tyres warmed up. He is ready to try and get himself into the top 6 if he can, which would be a really good result for the AlphaTauri driver. Started outside of the top 10, did Milo Bello. In 11th position, he's now in 7th, and there could be a chance for that top 6 place, because the drivers, of course, don't forget, they have time penalties of Frank Martin and Devori, and they're 3-second time penalties as well. So this is a glorious opportunity for Milo Bello to get a good result and get in the top 5 for what I believe would be the first time this season. Certainly a driver who last season, when he was driving for Alpine, he had some really good moments, and he was a bigger factor in the top 5 fight. So hopefully this can kickstart his campaign, as Devori picks up another 3-second time penalty. So that is even more incentive for the AlphaTauri of Milo Bello to get past him now. USD Toy TA currently out in front. 3.8 seconds to the good. He's managed this gap well on the medium tyres. Ever since he got in front at the start, it was a really good launch from the Alpine driver. I think Il Checho will be happy just to, well, I was going to say just to take the points for 2nd place, but on reflection, you've got to remember that USD Toy TA does have a 3-second time penalty. Il Checho is 4 seconds behind. There's still an opportunity for him, but it seems that USD Toy just has a little bit more pace on the medium tyres than the Aston Martin at the moment, with 3 laps remaining. something else to note is that Money Game is being closed in by Tutty Boy, gap down to 2.9 seconds. Alfa Romeo is absolutely flying at the moment on those softer tyre compound. He hasn't yet set the fastest lap of the race though. That honour still belongs to Youthly Toy TA. So currently he is on for the race win and the bonus points. Just having a little look through the rest of the field. Roby HT in 10th place, the last of the point scorers, but he's got 2.7 seconds to Jossing. And he has got a time penalty to contend with, which is 3 seconds for track limit. So Jossing, providing he stays there, could get a point from this race. Providing that he stays, like I say, within that 3 second time gap that Roby HT is currently contending with. Tutty Boy is absolutely flying though. He's taken 1.3 seconds out of Money Game on this lap alone. Gap now 1.5 seconds, so Tutty Boy might be able to make one last attack on the Williams in front of him, but he will need to do it realistically on this lap unless he finds an unconventional place to overtake around this circuit. Can Tutty Boy get on the podium for the first time this season? He is absolutely committed through turns 3 and 4. That was stupendous car control, using the ERS where he can to get that gap down to below a second, which is what he needs to activate DRS, of course. There's Devori, Milo, Bello. Just look at it. The rest of the gaps are quite spread out at the moment. So Tutty Boy is the one driver that I am interested in terms of fights on circuit. He is so close now, almost a tenth away from that 1 second time that he needs. Can he get below that figure? Oh, he's very, very close. The DRS activation line, of course, is on the exit of turn 15. And he's there, he's right there, he's underneath the gap at the moment. Can he keep the car tight enough through the final corner? Uses a bit of ERS, as Money Game is as well as we go on to this final lap. Tutty Boy will have DRS, he's not going to be close enough though to make a move, and Money Game has a load of ERS that he uses to pull away from the Alfa Romeo. That was good tactical play from the Williams driver. And he's just keeping himself out of DRS range, and you fear now that Tutty Boy might not be able to get close enough to the Williams for that podium. And he doesn't have DRS here. Money Game might just hang on then to that podium to go with the podiums that he had 2 weeks ago in Miami. Yellow flag, that's Scatcher who has clipped the curb at turn 1. He has gone round, but hopefully the race director will be watching you, Italy Toy TA. He was incredibly fast in qualifying. The weather counted against him for pole position, but he has been absolutely brilliant in this race tonight. Italy Toy TA rounds the final corner, and he's going to win the race here at Portimao. Great result for him. Il Cecco takes second place for an Italian 1-2. Money Game in third place. He's going to hold on with the medium compound tyres. Great effort for him. He finishes third. Tutty Boy fourth in the Alfa Romeo. It was a valiant effort from him. Then you got to wait. Frank Martin crosses the line, as does Devori. But Milo Bello jumps the pair of them with the soft tyre, and the lack of penalties for him puts him into fifth place. So he'll be chuffed with that. Cable Monkey ends up 8th place. It's still a really good showing from Cable Monkey despite starting 16th. Jossing is 9th in the end. Roby HT finishes 10th. JMB Surreal just misses out on points in 11th by less than half a second. Sick Boy is 12th. Luffy is 13th. The Steps has spun out the final corner to sort of compound a sadly miserable first race of the evening for him. And Scatcher has lost a lot of time on this last lap. I wonder if he pitted, potentially. Oh, he's actually just sort of coasting in. Oh, he's run out of fuel. He's run out of fuel, that's why Scat so far behind. Wow. Didn't think I'd see that in a league race, but there we are. And Cable Monkey gets driver of the day. In terms of positions gained, absolutely gained 8 places. That was a really good opening stint. It could have been even better for him had he have not had that spin at turn 13. But no one can take away the great job that Italy Toy TA has done for this race victory for the Alpine team. Great drive from him. He fended off Il Cecco all the way through that race. He will take the lead as well of the Drivers' Championship standings. Mathematically, of course, because naturally Psycho isn't in this tier of the championship anymore. But for the full race results, Il Cecco was second after Italy Toy TA crossed the line. Third was Money Game. Fourth, Tutti Boy. Fifth, Milo Ballo. Sixth, Frank Martin. Devori is seventh. Cable Monkey, eighth. Jossing ninth. And Roby HT, of course, finishing off the point scorers in the Mercedes. So that was a very good race. That was really enjoyable. There's another race to come, of course. It's a one-shot qualifying that will set the grid for the second round of this evening for Tier 2. I am really looking forward to seeing how the drivers get on again in this difficult circuit. Alpine getting 2 cars into the top 10 as well, so that'll certainly help their challenge for the Drivers' Championship and Constructors, of course. Red Bull both got 2 cars in the top 10 as well, so that'll certainly help them for the Constructors. And Red Bull are 9th in the Constructors. They've only had 1 point so far this season, so a double point score will be really positive for the team. But we will have a few moments just to catch our breaths. We'll be back momentarily. So hello everyone, welcome back to, of course, Gavra Racing. Just making sure that all my mic settings are okay. So I was just having a look at what the drivers were up to, and having a look at the chat room, of course, in terms of the debrief area. How there have been a few issues for a couple of drivers during the race step, saying that he had an issue with his setup. He had a few problems with it, which meant that he couldn't get the setup, the new changes that he'd made to work. So sadly for him, we saw the problems that he had. So that's a bit unfortunate for him. We've also had to set up a new lobby as well because there's been an issue for Spannel getting in, which seems to happen couple of every race, unfortunately, for Spannel, which you'd think he'd well, whatever the issue is for Spannel, unfortunately, it means he just can't get in for whatever reason, and it's really a shame because he's a driver who is very consistent in this league, very strong driver in terms of his race pace and quite solid with his strategy work as well. But we seem to be having a couple of issues with this lobby that we're working on at the moment, which is why there is a little bit of a delay currently. Seems that the servers are having a bit of a, let's call them a wobble for what it's worth. And we are setting up a third lobby for this evening. So hopefully we'll be able to get it sorted soon, and hopefully we can get Spannel in. Liam567 will also be in for tonight's second race of the evening. He's another driver, of course, who races in this league. He missed the first one earlier. He had a couple of issues being able to get in, but he is here, which is good to see. Remember Liam taking part in the evaluation race earlier in the season, and he performed quite competently at the time, but he hasn't got any points on the board in the driver's standings, or rather he has, sorry, had got points on the board in the driver's standings. He's 11th currently on 4 points, but he seemed to show a lot of good pace similar to that of his teammate the Steps. So hopefully for those two, they can work together for the second race and get some more points on the board for McLaren, because of course they're in a very tight fight with Alfa Romeo. So they need to score as many points as they can and get on the front foot for this second event. Be surreal, Manabab. Just having a look at the drivers' standings at the moment. The drivers who are yet to score points: Luffy, 1691, Jossing and Scatcher, 81. Those three yet to score points, although having said that, Jossing just scored points for the first time this season then, so happy days for him. He's off the mark in the Red Bull. We're waiting on, of course, Luffy and Scatcher now to score their first points of the season. Luffy was a decent driver last season, relatively consistent. That's important for the drivers to find their consistency first before they start to find their speed. It seems there are a few issues that the drivers are now encountering trying to get into this second race, third lobby of the evening. Let's hope that we can join in, because you all want to see the racing just as much as I do, just as much as the drivers want to compete, and you can all see that as well. But we are now getting the drivers in, which is good to see. I'm also going to hopefully be able to invite a couple of drivers in just so they make it too. Which is being done. So I can see the drivers currently phasing into the lobby. Just hope that Gavra does, of course, change the circuit, because it's at the moment it's on Bahrain, and that's a very different track to the one that we should be on at the moment, which is, of course, is Portugal at the Algarve International Circuit, and there we go, Gavra has heard me and swapped that one over, which is good to see. Tutty Boy saying good race in the Twitch chat there. It was a good race for you, Tutty Boy. 4th place, could have even been 3rd had there been a little bit more pace towards the end, but it's a valiant effort. Maybe that first podium could come in the next race or this season. It's been a very confidence boosting performance from the Alfa Romeo tonight, and good news for him is that his teammate is in for the second race, which is Spanel 57, so hopefully the two drivers can combine and work together for some points in this race. We don't know what the weather is going to be because of course new lobby, so the settings will have changed, and we could be in for maybe another wet qualifying, hopefully a wet race, who knows. One driver who does go well in the wet is indeed Spanel 57, a very competent driver in the wet. He scored his first ever podium in Gavra Racing in the weekend league in wet weather at Miami a few seasons ago. I remember that race very well. But we're shortly going to be underway. The drivers, it looks as if all of them are in the lobby as far as I can see. Spanel is there. Just looking to see if Liam is also there. He's not yet. So he's the only driver that we're waiting on, and he was in the other lobby that I was in earlier. So hopefully he sees the message and gets himself in. Roby and Luffy are also there as well. Lucas commenting underneath in Slovenian, as far as I can see. I can't speak Slovenian, unfortunately, so I can't translate. And Roby has not yet selected his car, nor has Luffy. But Liam is in, so we have now got all of the drivers, and now everyone has selected their car, so we can hopefully get this show on the road. Of course, the technical issues are beyond our control, ladies and gentlemen, but we do try everything we can to make sure that the racing gets underway as quickly as it can, and the drivers are now readying up. So can You Italy Toy TA repeat his victory from race 1, and the performance that he has shown tonight has been outstanding. Can he do it again? Il Cecco certainly looked like he had the capability to keep up with the Alpine, so I'm hoping for an even closer fight in this second event at Portimao tonight. One-shot qualifying, of course, in Gavra Racing for the second race of the evening. Don't forget, in less than 2 hours' time, the Tier 1 drivers will be racing around Portimao as well, and that'll be live on the Gavra Racing Twitch channel, and of course you can catch up with that on the YouTube platform as well. All the full race highlights are uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch everything in glorious detail once again. And if you're interested in Gavra Racing, you want to get involved, please do follow us on our social media platforms and check out the website as well, like Gavra Racing, the Alta Vista website, and of course on Discord, the Gavra Racing community. Well, the drivers are getting themselves ready now for this one-shot qualifying. The nerves will be building a little bit. They've had a little bit of an extended break as opposed to normally a very tight turnaround. They wouldn't have time to think about it usually, but now they have 15 seconds, less than 15 seconds before they'll be taking control of their cars and trying to get as close to the front of the field as they can and getting that all-important pole position. Here we go. Right then, it's qualifying, a one shot of course around this Portimao circuit. The driver's heading towards the first corner now. We will see who will be the fastest driver in the first sector. Not worth me trying to catch up with everybody through the first couple of corners. Let's see who will be first over the sector beam, which is just between this corner that we're on currently, turn 4 and 5, and it is You Italy Toy who's behind Money Game. So Money Game has managed to leapfrog in front. It's very close between the two of them as they navigate their way around turn 5. So Money Game was briefly leading the way. He's right there. The two Haskars both up there as well. It's a good showing from these two. Fake Nutson will be hoping he can get a good result in for today. Yes, the Toy though still leads the way as they round the turns known as Portimao, and You Italy Toy still has the lead. Fake Nutson putting in an incredible showing in the house. He's never had a front row start, but he's right there at the moment. This would be a turn up for the book. As could stay there. They're coming around this final corner now. Ah, Fake Nuts had spun unbelievably at the final corner. That's such a shame. But it's You Italy Toy TA, surely, who gets pole position, and he's comfortably clear by 8/10 of a second. Money Game is second. Il Cecco third. The Steps fourth. Divori fifth. Those four drivers on the same 10th of a second, but none of them could hold a candle to the performance that was You Italy Toy TA's pole position lap. Look at that, 8/10 of a second. So it's You Italy Toy TA on pole with Money Game second, Il Cecco third, Steps fourth, Devori fifth. Those four drivers separated by a 10th of a second from second to fifth. Tussy Boy is sixth, Roby HT seventh, Cable Monkey eighth, Mellowbello ninth, Liam in 10th, Frank Martin 11th, Spannel 12th, Jossing and Sick Boy on row number 7, JMB Surreal and Scatcher, and then Luffy and Fake Nutson, who was second as they approached the penultimate corner, and he spun round and he will start in last place. That is a shame. But what a lap from the Alpine of You Italy Toy TA, and if he gets another start like he did in the first race, you suspect he could be gone and off up the road in the early laps. But many different variables can come up in the next 17 laps. We have got a little bit of a darker sky overhead as opposed to the last race. Whether there'll be any rain inbound is another matter. But there's less than 10 seconds to go now as we build up for this second race of Tier 2 for tonight here at Gavra Racing. Take a deep breath. So it's the Alpine on the right hand side and the Williams on the left. Who's going to make the best start? And the race is live once again from Portimao. Looks like a relatively even start from the front row, but You Italy Toy gets a better drag of it in the second phase, and he holds the lead into turn 1. The Steps is side by side with Il Cecco. Everyone running wide. There's a yellow flag. That's one of the Alpines. It's Cable Monkey and Spannel, I think, who've sadly gone round. Unfortunately for those two, they have distanced themselves at the back, and Sick Boy has also gone round. But at the moment, You Italy Toy TA leads the way. Il Cecco is behind Money Game for further steps, almost running into the back of the Aston Martin then. Then it's Devori. Tutti Boy has been run out wide, or rather Roby HT has run out wide, and he's trying to go alongside the outside line of Roby, and he goes through into 6th place. That was a really good move from Tutti Boy in the Alfa Romeo. Then it's Mellowbello, Jossing and Fake Nutson. What a start from Fake Nutson. Up from 18th to 10th. He is a man on a mission. What can he do? He's got to keep it consistent though. That's the big thing for him tonight. But You Italy Toy TA has checked out, ladies and gentlemen. He is nearly a second clear already. In fact, he just is as we go round turn number 14. He is a man on a mission in that Alpine, and he wants to try and get as far away from the pack as he can, as early on as he can as well. Looking back through the field, everyone top 6 all staying in the same places. No DRS, of course, on the opening 2 laps, so these drivers are just going to have to use ERS and straight line speed to get past one another down the straight. No one close enough for a move. Fake Nutson clamps the curb through turn 1. He's got to be careful of that. Doesn't want to cause any more dramas than what he had in race 1. Now, I'll make a note of this for everybody. Currently, on the medium compound tyres. Tutty Boy has done the same strategy as he did in the last race, and it's worked for him there, so why not do it again? Fake Knutson also on the medium tyre. Frank Martin, Sick Boy, and sadly JMB Surreal, who I think has just had a front wing change, has gone onto the hard compound tyres, sadly for him. Sick Boy also on the medium tyres, but he's a little bit further back from the rest of the field. He was obviously caught up in that incident with Spannel, and I believe it was Cable Monkey as well, unfortunately for those drivers, as Roby HT gets past Tutty Boy for 6th place. We saw in the opening couple of laps in race 1 that Tutty Boy was just struggling to get those tyres up to temperature, and the heavy fuel load was working against the Alfa Romeo. Big snap of oversteer for Roby. He's going to have to leave a little bit of a space. They're side by side through the final corner. You don't see that often. Milo Bello is primed for a potential opportunity into turn 1, but he's not using his ERS. He's going to stay and hang back a little bit, because he doesn't want to get involved in too much nonsense. He doesn't want to break a front wing this early in the race. Jocelyn nearly did, running into the back of him. How wide did Tutty Boy go then? Oh, and I think that's fake Knutson. Yeah, I just saw it in the background. He clipped the curb at turn 1. That's exactly what I feared would happen. And sadly for him, he drops down the order. DRS, of course, now enabled, though. And that is Milo Bello almost up the inside of the Alfa Romeo of Tutty Boy, but he wasn't quite far enough. Alongside him, Liam up to 10th. Nice move on Luffy. Cable Monkey also doing the same on Scatcher for 12th place. Italy Toy T8 is gone. He's 2.2 seconds clear of Money Game. He is in a planet of his own. Once again, just like he did in the first race, he's got a lot of speed. He took his time. He got past Money Game in the end. And he's within DRS range. He's very close, and the steps is right there with them too. This is a much better showing for McLaren in this second event. So DRS will be enabled. Il Checho is already within the wheel tracks of the Williams in front of him. Money Game using as much ERS as he can, but he's going to be hard pressed to keep Il Checho in front of him. But having said that, DRS wasn't powerful enough to bring the Aston Martin ahead of the AlphaTauri, rather the Williams, I should say. My apologies there. I know the cars. Whilst that was going on, Milo Bello got himself past Tutty Boy for 7th place. Tutty Boy is really trying to fight his way back through the field after he's just got. I'm just tripping over my own words here, because Milo Bello. Oh, where does Tutty Boy go there? That was really awkward. Roby keeps the position for 6th place. He was right alongside Milo Bello, and he put his car in the right place, and he held on to 6th in the end. But Tutty Boy was so close to breaking the front wing there. Just about got away with it. Jossing is putting in a good showing as well in 9th place. This is the most competitive I've seen him for some time in the Red Bull. This is really good from him. Obviously buoyed by his first points of the season in the previous race, so he's going for another set. Why not? Grab as many points as you can. Liam in 10th place. Spannel in 13th. Those 4 drivers are in a fight for 10th place. The last point, of course, in the Formula One standings in terms of points that you could score, positions that score points. El Checho just not close enough to the back of Money Game. Trying to push hard, but he's not quite close enough. Milo Bello goes past Roby HT for 6th in the meantime. But Money Game has used all of his options available for ERS, realistically, as Cable Monkey's gone round at turn 1. But Il Checho, you feel, just saving up that ERS to use for the next DRS straight. The Steps is right there as well. So these two, Il Checho and Steps, looking quicker than Money Game as it stands. But there's still a long way to go in this race. Still more than 12 laps to go. Ooh, someone has gone round that Scatcher. Oh, everyone pushing track limits through Portimao corner there. But this fight for 2nd place is very, very close. It's another car that has sadly gone round. I think I've commentators cursed Jossing, unfortunately. Now we're onto the back straight, and Il Checho using his ERS now. He knows this is big chance he's going to have to make sure he gets past the Williams in front of him. He'll have DRS open as well, and it is wide open on that Aston Martin, and he sails past Money Game, and Il Cecco puts himself back where he was in race 1 in second position, but he's got 3 seconds to try and find on that Alpine. Oh, he had a bit of a interesting line through turn 4. This isn't over yet. Money Game will have DRS. Il Cecco's going to have to defend. He won't want to do this. And fair play to Il Cecco. He got the door open. He's got it up the inside. Il Cecco's going to try and go around the outside. I'm not sure on that overtake off track. And yeah, he's been told to give it back. Here comes the steps around the outside. Oh, they're so close to one another, but he just stays in front. Yes, he got the momentum. Oh, the contact between the two, the side-by-side through turn 9. Just about keep it all together, and Money Game stays in second place after all that. Il Cecco had to give the position back. For those that don't know, he ran off the circuit. Looked like he overtook Money Game off track. There's all sorts of chaos and carnage going on elsewhere, but these three are so close together on track, having a great fight. So Il Cecco will have to try again. He'll have DRS available to him, as will the steps, as we go on to lap number 6. And Devori has decided to go into the pits, which might not be a bad strategy considering that these three are fighting very hard in front of him. And Il Cecco picks up a time penalty. That's the first one. The first driver to do so. That's not ideal for him. I think Fake Knudsen has spun again. I thought that might have caused a safety car, but it hasn't. Ooh, Il Cecco was so close, almost practically pushing Money Game through the exit. Here comes the steps once again. He's going to try the same move that he did before. Can he do the switch back underneath? The great contact between the two of them. Steps pushes the door open. There's banging again between the two. Unnecessary contact between the pair of them, and the steps goes through, but I guarantee Il Cecco won't be happy about that. There was contact as the two went through the corner. I do hope there's no damage for the pair of the drivers. But all that fighting has just given Money Game a little bit of a breather. And speaking of gaps, Money Game is now 5.5 seconds behind Uitaly Toitier, who can pit, which is exactly what he's going to do. Will Money Game pit? He does. Does the steps? Yes, they all follow each other into the pit lane. Milo Bello will follow them in, and the steps has picked up a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and there'll be a wry smile from the Aston Martin of Il Cecco after that. Penalty flashing up on the screen, but it's Tutti Boy who takes the lead as a result of that. Where is Devori in relation to the three that are pitting right now? Because those three have fought so hard, he might get out in front of them. Let's see the gap as they come towards turn 1. There's Uitaly. There's Sick Boy, there's Frank Martin, there's Money Game, and the steps coming out of turn 1. Devori, he's closed the gap. He's not got out in front of them, but he is now less than a second, and that is a very good decision from Devori. He might join that fight. Sick Boy is holding up Uitaly Toitier, an absolute treat for the drivers behind at the moment. He's just got DRS and gone back past the Alpine driver. So, Uitaly Toitier is in a bit of a fight at the moment, and he's got Frank Martin behind him as well, so it's not as if he can just take his time and pick his spot. He's got to get past this Williams. And don't forget his teammate, Money Game, is the one in 6th place, is sadly Fake Knudsen leaves. But if Sick Boy can hold up Uitaly Toitier for as long as he can, he'll do his teammate quite a good job. Oh, he's lined that one up quite nicely. Has Uitaly Toitier. He's very close to the rear wing of that Williams as Spaniel pits now on those soft tyres. He'll have DRS, he'll have ERS available to him, and this should be a relatively straightforward pass from Uitaly Toitier, and it is indeed. Up to second place goes the Alpine, and there's only one car ahead of him now, which is the Alfa Romeo Tutti Boy, who leads the way, but he's yet to pit, of course. Sick Boy's got to be careful. He's got Frank Martin right behind him, but he went a little bit too wide through turn 4, did the Red Bull. Money Game there in 5th place. Il Cecco in 6th. Steps in 7th position. Devori is now in that fight. In 8th place. Milo Bello in 9th place. And Spannel, who decided to run the tyre for an extra... Oh, Italy Toy! It's gone off! The race leader has lost it on the exit of turn 9! And he falls down the wayside. He's into that gap that he had built up. When I say the race leader, I mean the net race leader he would have been. Unbelievably, Money Game is in 4th place. He will have the net lead. Il Checho in 5th, but he's going to have to... Italy Toy TA is going to have to do some overtaking now. He'll be kicking himself with the mistake that he's just made, but this is now potentially a 5-car fight for the race lead. But, and I'm going to say this because I want to put a little proviso on it as Sick Boy goes into the pits, Tutty Boy might come into play yet because he is on the soft tyres. He's 16 seconds clear of Money Game, who will have to fight off all these cars. I thought Il Checho was going to hit the back of the Williams then. That was super close. But Money Game is 16.5 seconds behind Tutty Boy, and Tutty will have the soft tyres when he pits. This isn't over. Devori looking for a move up the inside of what is a wounded Alpine. When I say wounded, I don't mean literally. It doesn't look like he'd made contact with anybody, but the ego of the driver certainly will be wounded. Wow. And the Steps has picked up another time penalty, so that's going to effectively rule him out of this race. Unfortunately for him, he's already picked up 5 seconds worth of time penalties thanks to the speeding in the pit lane infringement that he got earlier. So he's got 8 seconds worth, so this is going to sadly rule him out of it unless more chaos and carnage happens, which it most likely will. Now Frank Martin has gone into the pit lane, so Tutty Boy is going for another lap. Money Game could be on for a first victory in Gavra Racing. He doesn't have a time penalty to contend with, either does the Williams, so that will encourage him even more. Il Checho just can't get close enough to the back of the Williams. As Roby picks up a penalty. Italy Toy now has managed to get a bit of a gap between himself and Devori, so he can concentrate on the fight in front of him. 15 seconds the gap between first and second. So the gap is just starting to come down. So I feel that Tutty Boy will have to pit on this lap before he starts to lose any further ground, because he's got a very good chance of getting a good result here. Look how close this group is though at the moment. 4 cars separated by less than 2 seconds. Devori, don't forget, he's right there as well. And Tutty Boy pits. Gets the car slowed down. He'll go onto the soft compounder tyre, and Money Game will take over the lead of this race. But Il Checho is very close to the back of the Williams. He'll have DRS available too. Tutty Boy is just going in for his stop now, so he'll get overtaken by everybody. Italy Toy TA is very close to the back of the McLaren, who just about keeps it within the... Oh, Italy almost hitting the back of the car in front of the Steps. Tutty Boy has come out further behind than I expected, actually. So he's come out 10 seconds behind the cars ahead of him. So it seems that the pit lane time around Portimao is more like 25 seconds. So the fight now, very clearly, between the top 5. Interesting to see what Tutty Boy can do on those soft tyres, though. He's right with his teammate as well. So good points haul for the Alfa Romeo team. Oh, that's an interesting one. There's 5-second time penalty that's just been applied. Luffy is out of the race. Something has gone on because Liam has been given a 5-second penalty for contact with Luffy. Well, well, well. Anyway, another lap, lap 12. Going to be coming on to lap 13 shortly. Italy Toy TA is right in the wheel. of, there's more contact going on at the back. I'm not sure what's going on there, but Italy Toitier is right in the wheel tracks of the steps, but the steps also has DRS, and he just can't get close enough to overtake that McLaren in front of him. Down the gears into second for the Alpine. They're all starting to close that gap on Money Game, who is hanging on by his fingernails. Italy Toitier will have to... Ooh, he's looking for every which way he possibly can, trying to go around the outside. You can't overtake there. Now, I'm going to be frank here with everybody. Italy Toitier is just overtaking the steps. He has done that move off circuit. That will go to the stewards. You can't overtake off track. That just cannot happen, I'm afraid. Sorry to say that, but that's just not in the regulations. You can't do that. But regardless, he won't care about that. He's in third. So Italy Toitier has now got himself a car between him and Money Game, who leads the way. Devori has... Oh, Sick Boy has retired. That's a safety car. Oh, Italy Toitier is spun on the exit of turn 15. Safety car has been deployed. Now, who is going to be brave and going for the soft tyres? I don't think anybody in the leading group will. Well, prove me wrong. The steps and Italy Toitier has, Milo Bello has. Tutty Boy, of course, he's already on the soft tyres. He doesn't need to pit. He is going to be up into fourth place. Spanel carries on, so he's going to act as a rear gunner for his teammates. As he moves into fifth, who else is in the pits? Everybody else is piling into the pits. Frank Martin, he's on the softs though. He won't be one of those drivers. Where will he come out? He might get out in front of Italy Toitier here, and he has on the soft tyres. Wow. So the crash for Sick Boy, and he went off at a very awkward place. Looked like turn 3 he went off. Well, this has certainly changed up this race incredibly. We will have another lap or two of the safety car, of course. So that will mean there'll be no DRS for the rest of this race. And it'll all come down to drivers saving their ERS and making the tyre strategy count. Now for the positive for the medium tyre runners, which at the moment is Money Game, Il Cecco, Divori and Spanel, their tyres will comfortably see them to the end, so they can go flat out to the end. The problem is that every other driver who's on the softs can do exactly the same, and they'll have about a 1.2 second advantage per lap with the softer compound strategy. Tutty Boy has got a real chance here of getting not just a podium, but maybe even a race win. Ooh, who would you want to be right now? This is going to be unbelievably intriguing with these remaining laps. I'm just looking to see where everyone is on track. So still quite a few cars who are quite a way away. Roby HC, who is 10th, is only just coming across he's only just going through turn 1 now. And then you've got Cable Monkey, who's trying to catch the safety car, going around the final corner along with Liam and JMB Surreal. Then you've got Jossing and Scatcher, who are even further back than that. So could we see another lap of the safety car here? Money Game is running alongside the safety car, trying to push Bird Mylander to go a bit quicker. Probably isn't going to happen. Now this is a bit awkward for Il Cecco because he has a 3-second time penalty that realistically he's not going to be able to pull away enough unless there's a huge accident to get ahead by 3 seconds when the car's behind. So he is going to have to... Oh, Tutty Boy's left the session. Oh no, I hope that Tutty Boy can get back in. He is the first driver on the soft compound tyre. He's got time. I think the safety car is in this lap as well, so this might be a disaster for the Alfa Romeo. He was so prime position. Oh no, it's a disaster. The safety car is coming in this lap. Money Game backs everybody up as slowly as he possibly can. When will he go? He doesn't have to go yet. He can choose his time to do so. All the soft tyre runners will be chomping at the bit now to get up. Oh, and Scatch has spun, but he's not caught the safety car. Jossing has, though. And now he's gone. Money Game is off. So Money Game gets the jump on Il Checho, who's using ERS. There's one lap to go after this one. Tutty Boy, his AI has put him in the pit lane. That is such a shame. Tutty Boy then falls away, and it's Money Game who leads with Il Checho second. Devori is right there. He's on it for a great chance of his first ever podium in the Gavra Racing League. Liam's picked up a 3-second time penalty. Spannel is in fourth, and that's a McLaren gone round. I think that is Liam who's gone round, I think, by the looks of it. It's not updated on the timer screens. USA Toy TA fighting side by side with Spannel. He's not going to give up that position easily. He'll be very difficult to overtake, but the front three have made a little bit of a break for it. They're trying to find as much time as they can. Il Checho is all over the back of the Williams in front of him. Money Game trying to hang on for a first win this season. Il Checho's going for it at turn 9 and 10. Can he hold on? He's got through. He's pushing and squeezing Money Game, and he gets the position. But Money Game doesn't need to focus too much on that. He's got Devori right behind him. Spannel still holding on to fourth position. Huge fight going on at the moment for this race win. I say that Money Game doesn't have to fight too much with Il Checho. Il Checho has to get 3 seconds worth of time penalties clear of Money Game. Look at the speed of the Williams. It's unbelievable. And he flies back through, and that's not even with DRS. That was incredible speed. Spannel still holding on to fourth place, but Money Game has got the lead back. Il Checho will be trying to dive up the inside at turn 3. They make contact side by side. Devori's trying to find a way through as well. Wow, this is absolutely brilliant. On the final lap of this race, Devori is looking for a move. Oh, bit of contact. Il Checho pushes Money Game out wide. It's all gone wrong for Il Checho. He's gone round, he's off. So that puts Spannel on for a podium. This is absolutely incredible. Italy Toy TA is trying to find a way through. He hits the back of the Alfa Romeo. 5, 6, 7 corners to go. Money Game looks like he's going to hold on. Devori is in second. The fight is for third. Can Italy Toy TA hold on because he's got the steps on the left-hand side of him as they go round turn 12. Italy Toy holding on for fourth. Little bit of contact. I think that was lag bump actually. But there's just 2 corners to go. USA Toy is holding off the steps. Money Game, though, is going to do it. He's going to pull it off. Money Game 44 rounds the final corner, and it's his first ever win in the Gavra Racing League. He wins it. Devori is second. Spannel is third. USA Toy takes fourth. Frank Martin 5th. Milo Bello 6th. JMB Surreal 7th. The Steps 8th. Jossing 9th. And Cable Monkey rounds out the top 10, and I have to stop because I've got a lump in my throat. Wow. Whew. That was absolutely frenetic and incredible. Spannel gets driver of the day after an unbelievable final couple of laps. Money Game takes the race win, his first ever win in Gavra. Well done to him. He just about fended off the Aston Martin behind him of Il Checho. Excuse me, but it's Money Game who takes the race win. Devori is second, Spannel is third. Italy Toy TA, after all of that, despite spinning off twice, ends up fourth. Not a bad return. The Red Bull of Frank Martin in fifth, so a really good set of points today for Red Bull. The Alpha Tauris get themselves a double points finish in sixth and seventh of Milo Bello and JMB Surreal. The Steps in eighth in the end. What happened to the Steps at the end? Because he was right with UFC Toy TA. Did they make contact at the final corner? I don't know. Jossing was ninth. Cable Monkey got the final points. Roby HC was 11th, Scatcher was 12th, Tutty Boy was 13th, Liam was 14th, a very angry Il Checho ends up 15th. Sick Boy Luffy and Fake Knutson ended up not scoring any points. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Whew. Take a moment, everybody, to just have a breather. We have witnessed an unbelievable finish to this race, and hopefully we can potentially have some interviews after this if anybody does want to join in. We will see, we will find out, of course, if people want to do that. But if anybody does want to join, they will have the chance to do so in a moment. There might be one or two, there might be none. Ooh, Ben Roberts just joining in saying hello there. Ben, you have missed an incredible finish to this race. That is absolutely fantastic. The second race has just lit up the rest of this evening on a truly brilliant scale. So just waiting to see if any of the drivers do want to do some interview. It doesn't seem like there's anyone taking up the offer, which is unfortunate. If they decide not to, they decide not to. Of course, we can't force anybody to join. But I'm sure that Money Game, Devori, Spannel, they'll be very, very pleased with that. Don't forget, Devori is first podium in Gavra racing. He'll be really chuffed with that. Spannel again. Spannel seems to have this ability to just be in the right place at the right time to score points. He made the call not to pit for the soft tyres. He stayed out. Looked like he was going to protect Tutty Boy. Then Tutty Boy had his connection problem, sadly for the Alfa Romeo. And then Spannel took up the reins and got a podium for himself. So it's all worked out. Money Game has said he can join. That would be great to have Money Game in. Steps potentially saying that he would be able to get an interview. So we'll be able to have a chat with the race winner and with the driver who finished 8th in the end. So let's see. Let's see what the drivers have to say when they join in. Okay. I've just got into the interview section. Hopefully everybody can hear everything okay. Whew. So at the moment, just currently, it is the Steps who is in with us at the moment. So I'll ask Steps a couple of questions in a moment. Just wait to see if anybody else decides to join in with which they have done. Money Game has so joined us as well. And I think that is the drivers that we're gonna be able to interview for this evening. I don't think anybody else is going to be joining as far as I'm aware. Let me just quickly check the chat to be on the safe side. It would help if I pressed the right chat area, of course. Okay, brilliant. Right, so let's go into interviews then. So we'll start off with our race winner, of course, which was Money Game. He was the man who won the race, and you know, Money Game. I wanna start with yourself, of course, not only just because you won, but that was absolutely frenetic. Those final few laps, there was a lot of jostling for position, a lot of fighting. I want to say congratulations, of course, that you won. How was that for you?
It was good. It was quite tricky in some areas, especially when I was on soft. My tires were like done on lap 5 already, lap 5 or 4. I know, but it was quite a struggle on soft. I've found the medium tires were definitely better.
Yeah, I saw that you pitted a little bit earlier as well with that. Did you feel that you needed to stay in front of Il Cecco? Did you know that he had a time penalty in those last couple of laps?
Yeah, I felt like I need to get past them. Cause I think it was Devore. He was
Mm.
like coming up. He was right behind us, so I didn't want to lose time. So I just tried to get past El Petro.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your first win of the season, this is really, really positive for you. We're obviously coming up to the halfway point of the season. Are you thinking about a championship challenge at the minute, or are you just thinking we've got a first win under the belt, let's try and get another one?
Let's try and get another one.
That's a good answer. I like that. Well, thank you very much, Money Game. Appreciate that. Congratulations on your victory once again, and hopefully one more question. Actually, we've got obviously the next set of races coming up next week. How are you feeling about those?
Uh, Good, but my tires. I feel like the way I drive, I feel like my tires are just gonna go easily. So I need to take a bit more easy on my tires to keep
Mm.
in front.
Yeah, statistically, the tyre wear at Canada for next week's circuit does tend to play up on the soft, so it might be something to think about. But well done, Money Game. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, good stuff. So we'll move it over to the man who finished what I believe was in eighth place for the Steps. Mr. Steps, how are you doing?
Uh, yes, hello, and yeah, I think that's a weekend for me to forget.
Uh, what happened
Uh,
to you in the first race? I saw that you said that you tried a new setup and it didn't work. What did you
yes,
do?
I really don't want to talk about the first race, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
The whole first race, it was mess for me. I was trying a new setup, and in the qualifying, in turns out it's not good in the wet. I was like, okay, the race is coming. I can salvage this.
Hmm.
Turns out it's not good in the racing pace.
Nah.
Yeah, I was in a position that I was the rear back could snap when I was in fifth gear,
Hmm.
and that's just not raceable for me.
No. No, absolutely. So obviously, first race disaster. Second race, you were right on it. You were in the thick of the fight, and it looked like before the safety car, you had a really good opportunity to maybe finish potentially on the podium, maybe even top five. What happened though on the final lap? Because I was following you when you were side by side with your Italy Toy TA, fighting for fourth, and then you ended up eighth. What happened there?
What happened? It's that I got a 3 second penalty
Ah, did
for
you?
track limit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I truly think that I had the pace to at least finish on the podium today. But I was so nervous because the evaluation race was in Portugal, and I finished second.
Yeah, you
And
did.
I was like, yeah, I can replicate that right now, right? But no, it was a mess. I got also a 5 second penalty for speeding in pit lane,
Yeah.
and there was a time I almost threw my whole console out the window, and
Oh god.
yeah, just disappointment for me, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't replicated those results from the evaluation race, but you certainly showed that you had the speed tonight, and had fortune and a bit of luck been on your side tonight, you probably could have replicated that and got second place again, which is unfortunate, but still points on the
Mhm.
board for McLaren, which is good news for the constructors. How
Yes,
are you feeling about next week at Canada? Is that a good track for you? Do you like it?
Canada. Uh, I don't race the track much,
Mm.
but I have the overall understanding of the track. It's obviously one of the easy ones,
Mm.
but yeah, it's when I look at the whole calendar, it's pain and suffering what I see. Except for Imola GP, I'm quite excited to for the finisher of this season.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know what? You can take your performance from today and hold your head up high for the pace that you showed in the second
Yeah.
race. And I know that the finishing position wasn't what you wanted it to be, but I'm sure that next week you'll have another opportunity, and hopefully for you, you won't have any more pain and suffering, as you said. But
Yes. I hope
fingers,
so too. Thank you.
but well done for getting some points tonight. It's always good to get them on the board.
Yes, every point counts.
Thanks, Steps.
I
So,
thank you.
no problem at all. So that is it then for tonight's pair of races here at Portimao at the Algarve International Circuit. We've had some chaos in the second race after what was a relatively straightforward first race. But tune in less than an hour's time for the Gavra Racing channel, because we'll be on for the Weekend League One, where there is a titanic scrap going on at the moment. I'm sure you'll be able to see more information on the website. Do check that out, of course, on the Gavra Racing website, and here on Twitch and on YouTube if you're watching the highlights. Well, I say highlights, the full race details after this when they get uploaded in the coming days. But I'm Jack TM53, your commentator, as always, for the Weekend League Tier 2. Wherever you might be in the big wide world, a good one. See you next week.